Earlier, I spoke to Pat Garofalo, an economic policy editor at the Center for American Progress Action Fund, a progressive think tank. I began by asking him what is driving the massive sell-off in global markets.
I think what's driving stocks down at the moment is now that the debt ceiling has gone up, the political theater has ended, investors are looking around and realizing that the economy is in terrible shape. Unemployment is high, manufacturing number that came in recently was bad, incomes are going down. There just isn't a lot to feel good about in the economy at the moment.
Now, there's also a debt crisis in Europe, across the Atlantic. We know what's going on in Greece now. The focus is on Italy and Spain. Is that in any way having an effect on the U.S. markets?
I think it is, in the sense that now that we're past the debt ceiling mess and people are realizing that there's not going to be much growth in the U.S., they look across the pond and realize there's not going to be much growth in Europe either. Things are arguably even worse there than they are here. So the prospects for growth are pretty bad across the board. And there just isn't a lot to feel good about. There's not going to be a lot of opportunity for investors. And so they're realizing the fundamentals kind of stink everywhere and are acting accordingly.
Well, you mentioned the key word there, growth. One of the things that we hear the Obama administration talk about more and more, in fact, we hear Democrats in general talk about these days, they talk about jobs. They say jobs, jobs, jobs. They've made that turn now from talking about the debt ceiling to talking about jobs. If there's no growth, there can't be good prospects for job growth.
Yeah, and I don't think the prospects for job growth are very good, particularly considering that the House Republicans are going to continue to want to push through austerity measures, legislation coming out of Washington. Maybe there'll be a few spots where they can put in kind of job creation policies, a transportation bill here and there. But really, in terms of what's going to come out from Washington, it's going to be a drag on job growth. It's not going to be anything positive.
And really, that's going to be the focal point for the upcoming election in 2012, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you see the administration already starting to talk about that and try and make that their message, that things are going to be better on that front. And if you look at the Republican contenders, guys like Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, they're talking all about their job creation records. And it's one of those things where if the unemployment rate is coming down, Obama will be in good shape, and if it's continuing to creep up, he's going to be in bad shape regardless of who's standing on the other.
All he needs is for that number to be going in the right direction.
It's not all he needs, but it will help an awful lot if he has that number going in the right direction.
Right. One other thing, economists are now talking about a double-dip recession. I mean, what is that, and are we in danger of that happening?
I don't think so. There's a little talk about that, but I think the opinion right now is that we're much more in a stall mode than we are in a double dip, which is where you come out of the recession and then promptly go back into it. I think right now the consensus is that we're just in for a bunch of quarters of really subpar growth, below 1%, maybe popping above 1% sometime, which is not enough to create the number of jobs that you need to get out of the jobs hole that we're in. Growth like that isn't even enough to keep up with the workers who are newly entering the workforce, never mind the 14 million people who are unemployed because of the recession.
All right, we'll be back a little later with more from the Americas. For now, though, let's go back to Sohail in Doha.